て残した状態で舞台があっても何の心配もねえな。
10円まんじゅうですよ。あなたに必要な。
そうだよ、10円まんじゅう。
カツサンドだと俺なんかすげえ心の中に。
だからそれは
10円まんじゅう。
前店のカツサンドの高級で10円まんじゅうが10円だからだよ。お金がもったいないって思ってる。
そういうことや。
10円発想ですよね。
だからもう食イズマネーなんだよ。
そうか、食イズマネーなんだ。
食イズマネーなんですよ。でも俺やっぱ茶まんじゅうとかたまに和菓子屋さんで買って帰る。80円ので、まあちょっとラッピングして。
ああ、でも
茶まんじゅう超うまい。
それ言ったらやっぱ団子はどうですか？
団子
いいよ。団子
さ、でもさ、手汚れるのどうする？
いや、みたらしでもね、
手汚れるやつ。
まあ自己責任だよね。団子じゃない、コンビニにもあるしさ、草団子系のあんこ塗ったやつ。
コンビニのあんこ乗った団子めちゃくちゃうまいよ。
うまいっすよ。
俺もう昔から食べて108円のやつ。俺
さ、これ本当に言うけど、団子三兄弟の流行る直前にコンビニで気づいたの。で、自分のそれこそつなぎじゃないけど、やってた時期があるんですよ。ほらさ、3串100円ぐらいで入ってるでしょ、あれ。それ買ってきて食べてた。だから今でも覚えてる。97年とか8団子三兄弟、そしたら流れてきた。で、団子だと思っちゃいました。だからそれこそ自意識が邪魔をするで、俺それ以降コンビニで団子買えなかったんだから。こいつ団子三兄弟入ってるから団子買ってるわ。
確かに
思い出した。
俺がその前から食べてたら
思い出した。俺の
わかる。あの曲流れてるけど、
いや、俺買えなくなってちょっと控えたもん。買い控えですよ。あった。すげえ思い出した。
そうだね、あったね。いやでもあれ牧野さん食べてみてよ、コンビニの。
いや俺団子はね意外と好きなんですよ。俺はパンより好きなんですよ、団子は。
比較対象。
餅ね。餅はうまいもん。
団子いいです、団子。
団子はね、この間もつなぎで実は用意されてて、団子かチョコクロワッサンだった。
はい。団子さ、いや俺ね、でもね、団子に関して団子に関してコンビニで売ってる108円っていうのが多分一番適正なつなぎだと。最近団子うまくなりすぎてるから、ラーメンと一緒。
なるほどね。
ラーメンと一緒うまくなりすぎてる。もうなんかごまがすごいいっぱいなんかもしてあったり。
気持ちはわかるけどさ、おつみんの3つ入って
昔からあるね、みたらし団子。
高い団子でも1個の餅が大きいの。いやそこいらないから。
いや、もちろんそれ老舗のね、もともとやってる人からすれば何言ってんだ達夫みたいになるけど、分かるけど、なんていうかな、大量消費として
そうジャンクなね。でそのジャンクな商品なはずなのにめちゃくちゃうまいんだよ、あんな。
でもそういうのないですか？なんかこう、いや分かるよ、一品一品大切ですけど、でもこのコンビニのこれでやるこれがいいんだっていうのあるじゃないですか。あるね。団子もそうだし、まあ肉まんでもいいのかもしれない。
肉まんもそうでしょ。
豚まんぐらいにちゃんと551もうまいけどみたいな
551とかのね、あと関根の豚まん肉まんっていうのがあるんですよ。関根の肉まんっていうのを林家師匠さんが
必ず差し入れ
で持ってるんですけど、あれ重いんですよね。
重いっすよ。
めちゃめちゃ
やっぱり巨大化していくんだよ。
そうだね。
だけどそこはあえて小型化してほしいわけ。
そうだね。
で今こそ10円まんじゅうってやっぱあるんですよね。
あるな。確かにな。あとね、俺ね、手羽先の差し入れもあったんですよ。
手羽先？
そう。だね、ほんと小さいサイズの山ちゃんサイズの手羽先とかの差し入れがあったんですよ。それもね、手は汚れます。でも自己責任だからね、それは。
自己責任ですよ。
だからでもさ、お酒飲む人からしてももう手羽いっちゃったらもうビールってことになんない。
でもね、その時ならなかったんだよ。なんか良かったよ。
そしたらあれなんかフライドチキンなんかそういう CM 見ましたよ。レコーディングでみんな
確かにケンタッキーそうかも。
レコーディングで揉めてる時にこうフライドチキンなんとかセット買ってきたよっつったらもうそのレコーディングのさんたちが仲良くなってまあ安いバンドだなと思いましたけど、そういう CM ありましたよね。
あったうわすごいフラッシュバックしてきた。
こいつらフライドチキンで仲直りするんだってい
やこれからそういう CM いっぱい見れる。
いやケンタッキーは俺も完全に先発関東だな。
あれはじゃあマックのポテト S。マックのポテト S。
そっか。
ちょっとでもちょっとフライドチキン聞いてみて。フライドチキンってもともと要は日本人の唐揚げですよね。
そうだね。
ご飯の隣にあったっていいわけですよね。
そうだね。
あれいつからフライドチキンだけで満足できるようになったんですか？
いや俺満足しません。
僕変な話、フライドチキンでご飯あったっていけないことはない。
いや食べます。
いけるでしょ。
食べます。
昔俺んちも
俺一時あ本当、一時期フライドチキンがだから弁当の時に差し入れしていただいて、フライドチキンと一緒に食べたらすげえ気持ちが悪がられたんですけど、俺納得できなかった。いや信じられない。要はその世代は若いですから、フライドチキンっていうのはだからそれまさにつなぎですよね。
前も話したね。
それでご飯を食うのが信じられないみたいな感じで言われたんですけど、唐揚げだと。
唐揚げです。
いいですよね。
いいです。
だから唐揚げもご飯と食べる人と食べない人いる。
まあそうだね。
なるほど。
ケンタッキーフライドチキンってあれちょっとほぐした状態を飯に乗せて、
ああいい。
じゃあ海苔で巻いて食べたことありますか？
あるよ。
あるんですか？
あるしかってない。
あるんですか？
なんでロシア
でもさ、ケンタッキーがもう実はそういうのが気づいてる。ご存知ですか？最近ちょっと酒が出るケンタッキーの、まあ牛丼屋もそうだ、吉野家もそうだ、そういうのを考え出したでしょ。あれ多分こういう俺らのくだらない話を聞いて浮かんだんだから、あれに食いながら酒飲みてとか、そういうことでしょ。
ケンタッキーは翌日おじやに混ぜるのも。
ああうまいでしょ。それはうまいでしょ。スパイシーですから。
そうなんです。意外といい出汁も取れるわけ。
出汁も取れます。
ちょっとささみ状態ですね。
俺知り合いでだからわざとケンタッキーをそのテイクアウトにして、骨が残るじゃないですか。
残る。
それを全部鍋に入れて、そこからナスを作る人い
ナス取ってもいいかもしれませんね。
それケンタッキーは店で食べるものじゃないってその人おっしゃってました。
なるほど。
テイクアウトか配達してもらうもんだ。
あくまで個人の感想ですけどね。
そうですよ。
そうだね。テイクアウトした方がいいね。俺もテイクアウト食べるケンタッキーの方が好きだな。
俺でもね、歴代のつなぎっていうことで言うと、まあ今なかなか、また和菓子系なんだけど、これね、スワマすごい好きなんですよ。
あれ俺さ誰が食べてんのかなと思ったけど、
スワマだと
お前が食べてたのか。
スワマだと全日本プロレスに見てる。スワマです。ここの注釈が偉い。スワマいいです。
俺は本当にレジで売ってるスワマ誰が食ってんのかな。
でも売ってる
スワマってあれそもそも何なの？牛っていうかあれおやつのために作られた。
多分おやつじゃない？
なんですかなんか
もちもち感だけの。
そんなに媚び売ってないしさ。
そう。スワマ。
俺だってさ昔高円寺住んでる時にさ住宅街の中にある一角にある昔からやってるパンとか置いてる店、おじいちゃん
ある
そこの店の古いショーウィンドウの中に綺麗にしてありますよ。古いショーウィンドウの中にスワマとアンパンとかが置いてる。
そうちょっとしたサイダーとかも。
そうサイダーとかでそこのアンパンとサンドイッチはアンパンとサンドイッチは売り切れてるのにスワマ残ってんだよ。午後行くと誰が食ってんだよ。お前が食ってんだよ。
俺やっぱ和菓子屋で買いますよスワマは。スワマ食べないですか？
スワマは俺ね今まで自信ありますね。今まで食べたことありません。
いやちょっとつなぎで食べてスワママジで
食べたことないのに自粛しちゃダメですよ。
食べたことない。
荻窪のタウンセブンの1階の入ったところの和菓子屋にありますからスワマ。そこ行ってください。
いや俺だ正直食べる気がしないんだけど。
スワマって何なんだろう。
佐島君じゃない？
いやだから好きですよ。
いや
好きだけど気づく前。
いや確かにサービス精神ないから。
デレーンとしてるしさ。何ですかね。
単なる脂質油かなみたいな。全然なんか美味しいアピールもしてくれないし。
そうなんです。
中に何が入ってるみたいなのもないし。
いや別に取り立て何も入ってない。
何なんだろう。ちょっとツンだ。
ネーミングもそうじゃない。
そうスワマってなんだろう。
スワマってなんだ。
俺だからもちろん俺の方が悪いと思ってる。もちろん俺の方が悪いとは思ってる。
世の中の美味しいものを理解できないのは牧田さんの方が悪い。俺だと
全部俺の方が悪いと思ってる。食べたことがないから間違ってうちで運ばれたこともないし。
そうだね。
でもスワマ感って俺やっぱ好きかもしれない。スワマの色とかどうですか？
いや大好き。
大好きでしょ。買っちゃうよね。
買っちゃう。ウイロンやっぱテンション上がる。こう行くと。
いや俺まだ無理だな。
まだ
ウイロンだよ。
心許してない。
無理だな。
嘘。いやもうチョコクロ分かるんだったらもう一歩だよ。
そうかな。
君もう一歩。
いや多分いい色出てくると思う。飯をしんとき。
だって
あれいいじゃん。
ウイロンいいよ。手 汚れない汚れない。破けやすいし。
ウイロってのは羊羹
まあでもお茶が欲しくなる。
まあお茶欲しくなるね。汎用感。
汎用羹。
そう、あの感じがいいんですよ。甘く、そんなに甘くない。
甘い、なんだろう、テープと魚肉のなんていうの、感触に近いんだけど。
俺それだったらもう、だって汎用羹だったら羊羹がいいわ。
羊羹重いよ。
でも羊羹だとなんか一息ついちゃうね。
そうだね。
飯押し的な、ちょっと休憩
今もうみたいな。そうだね。
だから羊羹を薄切りにしてちょっと食べてみて。うまいよ、うまい。薄切り叩いちゃって。
昔の人よく考えたもんでさ、羊羹食べるとさ、お皿とさ、和菓子食べる時用のフォークみたいな。うまいんだ、あれ幸せだな、あれ。
ただまああれだよな、それはつなぎじゃない。
つなぎ、
だってそれ、だってトラヤの羊羹みたいなの出てきたら面白かったじゃん。
確かにそうだね。
家庭でやってくださいって話だよ。
確かにそうだね。
う
わー、俺でもほんと超スワマ食ってほしいわ。スワマとそのお稲荷さん。
スワマってそれつなぎになるの？
だってあなたチョコクロだってそう思ってたでしょ。
そうだね。目から鱗が落ちたね。本当に。目から本当今まで馬鹿にしててごめんだって。だけどさ、ほら俺はさ、その時お腹が空いてやさぐれてそうだからそのまさかさ、チョコクロだってさ、俺のことなんか別に知らないさ、そのすれ違いざまの2人がさ、一夜共にしてなんかさ、
たまたま
そのやさぐれた2人がなんか
そうだね、ああいうことでもなければ仲良くなってないよね。
そうなんかそういうで
東京ポッド許諾数町田スポーツプチカスタ30活動で営業
test to challenge memory, attention, and problem solving to calculate baseline scores. More at lumosity.com. NPR FM Berlin 1041 and online at nprberlin.de.
hardline Hindu nationalist prime minister gets rock star treatment around the world. We look at his first 6 months in office.
Also, trying to maintain your weight during the holidays, one nutritionist proposes the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you do what you're supposed to do in terms of eating right and exercising, and then 20% of the time you do whatever you want. You have fun, you have your little treats here and there. Coming up, here and now. I'm Sharon Brody with this news update. Officials in Nigeria are warning there could be a high number of casualties after an explosion at the Central Mosque in Nigeria's second largest city. Hundreds had gathered to listen to a sermon in a region terrorized by attacks from the militant group Boko Haram. Immediately after the blast, hundreds of angry young people took to the streets in riots, throwing stones, brandishing sticks, and shouting at security officials. During his visit to Turkey, Pope Francis is urging Muslim leaders to condemn the barbaric violence being committed in Islam's name against religious minorities in Iraq and Syria. Mustafa Aydin, who runs a Turkish organization focused on religious dialogue, says he is glad the Pope is in the country.
That will be another important gesture for the interreligious dialogue, especially for Muslim-Christian dialogue in this very difficult time.
This is Pope Francis' second trip to the Middle East this year. He says leaders of all religions are obliged to denounce all violations against human dignity and human rights. Police in Austin, Texas, are trying to determine the motive of a gunman who attempted to set the Mexican consulate ablaze and fired buildings, including police headquarters and the U.S. courthouse early this morning before he died. It is not clear if police fatally shot the suspect or if he took his own life. Some of the buildings he targeted are near the popular 6th Street Entertainment District, where bars close at 2 a.m. about the same time the shootings began. The Austin police chief says thousands of people typically are on the street at that time, and he's grateful that no one but the suspect was injured or killed. Protesters interrupted holiday shopping at major retailers around the St. Louis area to speak out about a grand jury's decision not to indict the police officer who fatally shot Michael Brown. Other Black Friday protests were planned in shopping centers around the nation as demonstrators seek the attention of consumers looking for deals. Despite protests, sales are projected to be up today and throughout the holiday season, according to ShopperTrack founder Bill Martin.
Even though online continues to grow, still greater than 90% of all commerce takes place inside the brick-and-mortar stores.
Analysts expect sales to be up 4% over last year. On Wall Street, stocks were mixed at the end of a shortened trading day. The Dow was up a fraction at 17,828.
Funding for Here and Now comes from Rhodes Scholars. With education, including humor, information at ROAD.com.
Life-giving breakthroughs.
From NPR and WBUR, I'm Robin Young. It's Here and Now. Narendra Modi, India's new prime minister, took his place on the world stage again this week when he attended a meeting of South Asian leaders in Nepal. That followed Modi's appearance at the G20 summit in Australia, where he received a thunderous welcome from the Indian community. So how's he doing? The BBC's Sanjay Majumdar reports on Modi's first 6 months in power.
This is how India's new leader was treated in Sydney's Olympic Park, an arena which had just hosted the Rolling Stones. Narendra Modi too got a rock star reception from Australian politicians and adoring expat Indians. He got similar treatment in New York in September and is likely to be as frenzied when he visits the UK next year. Suresh Prabhu, a senior cabinet minister, has travelled with him and has sensed the buzz.
There is obviously a new excitement about the government and the leader. Mr. Modi is one of our most prominent global leader, emerging as a global leader, and I'm sure it's not just emerging economy, but it's emerging leadership.
Back in India, his first few months in office have been, well, different. In this nationwide campaign, Mr. Modi is seen taking a broom and sweeping the streets as part of a drive to clean up India's public spaces. It may seem odd to see one of the world's most powerful leaders get down and dirty, but as commentator Suhail Seth points out, there's an important message.
It is abhorrent for a prime minister to talk about cleaning the garbage off your streets, but no one else said it before. In many ways, Obama-esque, but it's not about be the change you can, it's about be the change only if you change.
But it's not all symbolism. Mr. Modi has also streamlined India's infamous bureaucracy, cut red tape, and announced an economic reforms program. If there's one community, though, that's really enthused by this new government and the new Prime Minister, it's the business community. The World Economic Forum's annual meeting, held this time in India, has a definite air of excitement and a feeling that this now is the place to put your money in.
I started my company when I was 14, hailing from a middle-class family, a first-generation entrepreneur. I wasn't aware those hurdles one has to face.
But there are some in India who are a bit uneasy at the rise of Narendra Modi, a hardline Hindu nationalist who hasn't always endeared himself to the country's Muslim minority. There's a religious procession underway in a congested Delhi neighborhood. Young Muslim men are dancing, and there's a definite air of tension. I've just found one of the local residents, an elderly Muslim gentleman who's watching the procession from the sidelines.
We Muslims are outnumbered. The surrounding areas are dominated by Hindus, and this year they have warned us not to take our procession out of this area. It's never happened before. We are frightened that we may be attacked.
There have been a few stray incidents of religious violence since the new government took over, but there are some, like social activist Aruna Roy, who argue that this is not something to be ignored.
They are a warning that if you do not toe the line, this is what will happen to you. There is not a single Muslim BJP member in parliament. So what does it tell us?
Mr. Modi has not publicly commented on any of these incidents. His speeches tend to focus on his big plans for the country. And so while Indians, both here and abroad, are unabashed in their support for him, there are some who are still reserving their judgment.
The BBC's Sanjoy Majumdar. You're listening to Here and Now. Funding for Here and Now comes from MathWorks, creators of MATLAB and Simulink technical computing software. MathWorks, accelerating the pace of engineering and science. Learn more at mathworks.com. NPR FM Berlin 1041 and online at nprberlin.de.
They picked out that special tree and they cut it down with their bare hands.
Mom, I can't feel my head. Clark.
Yes, honey?
Audrey's frozen from the waist down.
No, that's all part of the experience, honey.
Some of us will be trekking into the woods this weekend like National Lampoon's Clark Griswold to get a Christmas tree. But it's more likely you'll do it the easy way. The National Christmas Tree Association says Americans bought more than 33 million trees last year, and most of them were pre-cut and bought on a tree lot. If you'd prefer something of a middle ground, you can visit a place like this. On this farm in North Andover, Massachusetts, Michael Smolak keeps turkeys, geese, and roosters.
Now take a deep breath. We we have pick your own strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, cherries, gooseberries, currants, peaches, plums, pluots, pumpkins, apples, and Christmas trees.
And Christmas trees. And this time of year, it's all about the trees. It's important business. Christmas sales add up to 15% of his yearly revenue, and that money fills the gap in an otherwise difficult growing season. Small stands at the foot of a tractor trailer packed like a matchbook with 800 Fraser firs. The trees were probably cut a few weeks ago, but the crew just arrived from Quebec.
What did you do with the driver this morning? Is he sleeping?
Taking a break. So we're at a Christmas tree farm. Why are you shipping Christmas trees in?
Because we can't grow them fast enough.
This season, Smollett will have 1,500 trees delivered, but the real action is up the hill from here, where his tree crop is growing an inch at a time. We have to get into his car to drive there, and when we crest the hill, the farmhouse below looks more like a dollhouse.
Well, Peter, what we have is the early stages of a Christmas tree plantation. These trees were planted probably 2 years ago, and they grow about a foot a year. So in order to get a Christmas tree to full saleable size, you need about 6 or 8 years of tending these things. And then 6 or 8 years, you come up here with your family, and what you do is you look for the perfect Christmas tree. And people have asked me, what is the perfect Christmas tree? It's quite simple. The perfect Christmas tree is that tree that you and your family decide should be in your living room, and that's it.
Yeah, but most farmers, when they have a crop, they get to harvest it a couple months later. You have to put years into this.
Right, exactly. And a lot of the varieties, some of them grow very, very quickly. Like, for example, we grow Douglas fir and Fraser fir here because they grow fairly quickly, but some of the other species grow much slower, so it might be 10 or 12 years before you have something that's really marketable.
Now, we're in Massachusetts where a certain type of Christmas tree is grown because it does well here, but in other parts across the country, you may see different species of trees, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very regional. Say, for example, in the Carolinas, they grow a lot of Fraser firs, which is the southern cousin of the balsam fir. Around here, they're mostly balsams, although we're kind of on the cusp. Other parts of the country will grow pines. I like the fir trees because, first of all, they retain their needles very well. Also, they smell very well. So, and they grow well here, first of all. But, of course, in California, where it's a little drier, your tree's not going to last quite as long once you put it in your house.
I'm going to tell you a little secret. I'm from Arizona, and when we get Christmas trees in Arizona, some of us have been known to actually take the Christmas tree and put it into our swimming pool overnight, and it sucks up all the water, and then it never drops its leaves. In the desert, that's important. Have you ever heard of that?
It's needles, not leaves.
Did I say leaves?
I didn't hear.
I stand corrected at the Christmas tree farm. It is needles, not leaves. Of course. Didn't I learn that in 3rd grade?
The way we do it here, we don't go swimming with our trees, although that begs a lot of questions. But what we do is, when you get your Christmas tree, what you do is when they're cut here, they're basically cut in November, and the bottom seals up, and what you do is you cut an inch off the bottom, you put it into water, and then it hydrates, so we don't, well, it's a pool, but it's a small pool.
This area is very festive. The season is really just about to get started. But in all your years on this farm, what's the grinchiest thing you've seen anybody do?
Years ago, we used to allow people to come and tag their trees, and then they would come back and they would cut the tree. There's nothing sadder than the family of 4 with a camcorder, and they're all excited. The kids are excited, and they're screaming, and they're going out to the Christmas tree plantation. They go back to the fields where they had tagged their Christmas tree, only to find no tree there, because sometimes people tended to kind of remove tags from other people's trees. So we don't allow tagging anymore. It's just first come, first serve. And so the husband is mad. The wife is like in shock. The kids are crying. This is pretty grinchy.
So it's really competitive. It can get really competitive.
Oh, it's a tough world out there. Yeah.
In the spirit of competition, I asked Smollett for a favor. Take me to the best Christmas tree on the farm. The Cadillac of pine. The tree no customer, man or child, could resist. We head down the hill looking for something that stands out among the 8-foot Fraser firs, and suddenly I see it. It's beautiful, the kind you put in a hotel lobby and deck with strings of white lights and little carvings of woodland creatures. The white fir.
And if you run
run your hands through it, it's almost like rubbery, so you can almost jump into it and not get stuck like you would with most trees.
Oh, it's really soft.
It really is. And it's got a nice bluish cast to the color. I'll have to plant some more of these next year.
And I have to say, we're dwarfed by this thing. It's huge.
It's huge, right.
How tall is it?
I'd say probably about 18, 20 feet tall.
In the wild, these trees grow up to 150 feet, but this one is not for sale. Smolik says we're standing on his brother's front lawn. Yes, the white fir is a designer tree, but Smolik says it doesn't really matter what you choose.
I know. We, as kids, would go out into the fields and we'd cut a cedar tree, and because that's what would grow on the posts, and we didn't have any money, so that's what we had, and it smelled great. And, we wouldn't be any the wiser that this was something that was slim pickings. The presents were just as good that we found underneath, so it was no problem.
Michael Smolik, a Christmas tree farmer on a cold fall morning in North Andover, Massachusetts. And Robin, while we're on the topic of Christmas trees, did you see this tree in Reading, Pennsylvania?
Oh, it is. I'm looking at it right now. We have a picture at herenow.org. It is so sad. I'm so glad you're playing the Charlie Brown music.
Exactly. In fact, people are calling it the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. It looks a little bit under the weather. I think you could say it's a 50-foot tree, but its branches are all kind of drooping
And it's
down.
uneven, like there's big empty spaces. Some person said it looks like something you throw out,
But they're keeping it up. They're keeping it up. They're going to decorate it with a single red bulb, just like that Charlie Brown famous Christmas tree. Residents say, hey, maybe it's got character. Maybe it'll be a draw. You can decide for yourself, as Robin said. It's on our website, herenow.org.
It's like the Velveteen Rabbit of Christmas.
If you love it enough, it'll come alive. It's Here and Now.
Funding for Here and Now comes from MathWorks, creators of MATLAB and Simulink technical computing software. MathWorks, accelerating the pace of engineering and science. Learn more at mathworks.com.
All Things Considered from NPR News is like a high-powered telescope. Every afternoon, we zoom in on what's important around the world. Then, through a clear lens, we apply the correct amount of magnification and focus on the facts to cast the stories of the day in just the proper light. All Things Considered from NPR News. Illuminate your world.
Make the connection. Wherever you are, stay with NPR.
It's Here and Now. So, how are you feeling today? Blessed, maybe, after a nice meal with family and friends, but maybe also stuffed. And still ahead, the office party, Hanukkah, Christmas. Can you start 2015 with the same waistline? Nutritionist, personal trainer, and author Justine Sanfilippo says yes. And Justine, you ran a corporate program called Maintain, Not Gain. What is that?
Basically, it was a challenge for employees to just weigh themselves at the beginning, right before the holidays, and then once after the holidays were over. And what was really interesting to me is that most people that went into the mindset of the holidays to not gain weight actually did not.
So, weighing yourself in the beginning is key, you say, but then you have something called the 80-20 rule. What's that?
80% of the time you do what you're supposed to do in terms of eating right and exercising, and then 20% of the time you do whatever you want. You have fun, you have your little treats here and there. None of us are perfect, so I think that 80-20 rule helps keep us in balance.
What else can you do to prepare for what you know you're going to do when you go to an office party?
The other tip I always say is actually to eat before you go to the party. In addition, if you do choose to drink alcohol, you'll have some food on your stomach already to absorb that, so you also won't overindulge in the beverages as well.
Alcohol, just stay there for a second. Lots of calories.
Again, it's all about mindset and planning. So going into a party with, say, a 2-drink maximum in your mind is very beneficial. One, for your waistline, and two, because sometimes in office parties, if you get too carried away, you might regret something you said or did the next day around your coworkers.
You're on Facebook the next day, yeah.
Exactly.
Now, when you say eat before you go out, you mean eat well?
Yes, eat healthy. Could be as simple as a little homemade turkey sandwich or protein, because protein really helps satiate us.
And going back to drinking, we've been hearing a lot about thirst, and Sanjay Gupta from CNN, for instance, talked about how thirst can present itself as hunger. And as he said, the population is going around stuffed and dehydrated.
Yes, absolutely. So half a glass of water, see how you feel, and then see if you need that extra snack. Many people tend to be dehydrated just because a lot of our foods, especially processed foods, or if a person eats out for lunch or dinner, are extremely high in sodium. So we actually need more and more water to help the body release the extra water weight.
Justine Sanfilippo, nutritionist, personal trainer, health coach, and she ran a corporate program called Maintain, Don't Gain. We'll link you to her website at herenow.org. Justine, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Well, maybe you're eating local produce this holiday. What if you live in a place, though, with no land to grow that? A New Jersey-based food startup called AeroFarm suggests aeroponic farming. No soil, no sun, no pesticides, little water, just a mist with nutrients, and LED lights that can be adjusted to actually make the plants taste better. Right now, AeroFarms operates out of a nondescript warehouse in Newark, New Jersey, but they plan to move soon to a huge facility. David Rosenberg is co-founder and CEO of AeroFarms. They've raised more than $36 million for their clean tech urban farms. David, welcome.
Hey, thanks so much, Robin. Great to be here.
Well, and explain how this works.
Envision a tunnel about 80 feet long, less than 2 feet high, about a foot over the plants. We have a series of LEDs, and then the other below the growth media is where the roots are, and we have a really misted nutrition. And then envision through this tunnel, the plants begin their journey as a seedling, and 16 days later, they come out the other side, fully grown, ready to be harvested. That same process otherwise takes 30 days in a field.
So it starts as a seedling, and then there's this, you call it growth media, but what is it? It's like there's a cloth involved over a planter.
Exactly. So you mentioned soilless, sunless agriculture, farming. So one misnomer is people say, don't plants need sun? And the answer is no, they need spectrum of light. So about a foot over the plants, we have a series of LEDs, and we're really smart in the lighting side, giving the plants not only what spectrum they want, but taking out the spectrum they don't need. And then the growth media, which is made out of recycled material, the seeds are put on there, and then they grow, the roots go down. So we are about optimizing the plant growth. So when I say we have 16-day growth cycles in our system versus 30 days, it's using the same non-GMO seed, non-genetically modified seed, using 95% less water, zero pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and the end product doesn't even need to be washed.
What is the benefit of doing it this way as opposed to using soil? We know, for instance, that soil can be overused, and then you have to, put nutrients back in it or not plant in it for a while. But what are some of the benefits in your mind of growing vegetables this way?
The benefits mean different things to different entities. So first, for the consumer, the person that's going to eat the leafy greens, they want fresh food. In the U.S., about 95% of our leafy greens are grown in California. So if you live in the East Coast, it's about a 5-day journey until they get into the supermarket, sometimes 7 days. So here we could bring the food to the customer much sooner, which means an increase in nutritional density. It also means, from an environmental standpoint, not only does agriculture, by USDA standards, consume about 70% of our fresh water, but it also leads to approximately the same amount of our water contamination, and that is from over-fertilizing as well as over-pesticizing. There's a lot of negative consequences to the environment, and a lot of those can be greatly reduced in fully controlled agriculture.
Well, there are questions. Cornell agriculture professor Louis Albright is one who raised concerns about the lighting. He's concerned about any food grown under 100% artificial light, which yours is. He says light requires electricity requires fossil fuels. Of course, fossil fuels contribute to carbon dioxide. To the extent that it cuts what you say is one of the benefits, the fact that you don't have to truck these vegetables around. You can put them anywhere. You can put them in the inner city if all you need is a contained place inside a warehouse.
Well, first, Lou Albright doesn't know how we grow or what we use. We do a lot of very thoughtful things on the environmental side. We focus on the spectrum of light that the plants want, and we're able to take out some of the spectrum that they don't need. Also, in this facility, we're building a Newark, which is going to be what we believe the largest vertical farm in the world. This is going to be using, for a heating standpoint, the waste heat off our LEDs. So about what in other places might be like 50% of their energy load, for us it's almost completely taken off by using these smart systems of waste heat.
Well, and you've got academics on your side as well. There's a professor at Cornell School of Integrative Plant Science, we're reading, who helped develop this light recipe, this idea that you can alter the light depending on what the plant is asking for. But can you really make changes in the light that can make kale sweeter, or something like arugula, I'm reading, more peppery?
Yes, and it's not just the light. So we have a tremendous amount of data of what the plants want, and that's to benefit not only the taste, but the texture, the yield, the nutrition density. And whether it's the lighting, whether it's the nutrients, the air, the oxygen, the CO2, the temperature, the humidity, there are a whole bunch of items that all influence these things. And we're constantly playing around with it to optimize for those features.
Do you worry about the aspect of this that might be off-putting to people? It's fooling with nature.
We're not. First, we're not. This is taking a non-GMO seed, in a lot of cases an organic seed, and we're not messing with the biology in that sense, or the genetics. People they don't want pesticides, herbicides, fungicides on their product. They don't want chemically contaminated food. They don't want the residue from fertilizers on their product. And the fact that we're able to give them a clean product without these chemicals on it is tremendous.
That's David Rosenberg, co-founder and CEO of Aero Farms. Again, no earth, no sun, very little water, a mist. That's aeroponic farming in right now downtown Newark, New Jersey. David, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And we'll link you up to all sorts of information at hereandnow.org. Here and Now is a production of NPR and WVUR in association with the BBC World Service. I'm Robin Young.
I'm Peter O'Dowd, in for Jeremy Hobson. This is Here and Now.
Here and Now comes from the Institute of Contemporary Art with Hooked and Twisted, featuring the expressive possibilities of fiber art from vibrant weavings to massive sculptures on view now. ICABoston.org.
I'm Robin Young. St. Paul and the Broken Bones is a 60s-inspired Alabama soul band. Lead vocalist Paul Janeway doesn't just sing.
I think as anything goes, life kind of takes its toll, kind of beats you up a little bit. You just got to holler, you got to scream.
Next time on Here and Now from NPR and WVUR Boston.
You're listening to NPR Berlin, 104.1 FM, and streaming at nprberlin.de. Now comes from MathWorks, creators of MATLAB and Simulink technical computing software. MathWorks, accelerating the pace of engineering and science.
From NPR and WVUR Boston, I'm Peter O'Dowd.
I'm Robin Young. It's Here and Now. Coming up, 77% of the people in a CNN survey say they're not not shopping this Black Friday. In Ferguson, Missouri, protesters are calling for a boycott in the aisles of stores like Walmart.
But if you are shopping and confused by all those new tech gadgets, you're not the only one. We get tips on the best gifts of the season. Smartphone attachments that your photo-taking, selfie-crazed teenager will love.
They're basically add-on lenses that add different and fun perspectives to photos, and they range from $50 to $130.
These stories and a new study on carcinogens and e-cigs coming up here and now.
The news is first.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Winter Johnston. Officials in Austin, Texas say the city's police headquarters was severely damaged after a suspected gunman opened fire there this morning. He also fired bullets into the guardhouse at the federal courthouse. Police Chief Art Acevedo says there are still a number of questions about the attacks.
We haven't been able to determine exactly what was the sequence of the building that were attacked. And we will also be looking as part of our criminal investigation whether the officers met fire struck the suspect or whether the suspect took his own life.
Officials say the unidentified man also tried to set fire to the Mexican consulate. Dozens of people are feared dead after a gun and grenade attack at a mosque in Kano, Nigeria. No one has claimed responsibility so far, but as NPR's Gregory Warner reports, it could signal a more radical departure from the tenets of al-Qaeda.
Leaders of al-Qaeda have urged African jihadists not to kill fellow Muslims, but the Nigerian Islamist group Boko Haram, which kidnapped more than 200 schoolgirls in April, seems to some to be following more of an ISIS model: control territory and silence all dissent. The attack on a mosque in Kano in northern Nigeria is believed to be the work of Boko Haram. No group has taken credit. The emir of Kano, who often preaches at that mosque, urged Nigerian Muslims to resist Boko Haram and, quote, not wait for soldiers to protect them. The Nigerian army has thus far failed to stop the group from spreading their control over the Nigerian north. Gregory Warner, NPR News, Nairobi.
In Egypt, 3 people were killed in 2 separate incidents in the capital as security forces locked down the city to stop anti-government protests. NPR's Leila Fadl reports ultra-conservative Islamists had called for nationwide rallies today, but the protests barely materialized.
After weeks of anticipation over today's protests, the capital was largely quiet, with small groups of demonstrators gathering in different parts of Cairo. In the northern district of Mataria, there were reports of residents clashing with protesters, and one of those protesters was shot and killed. Earlier in the day, there were reports of another army officer killed in a shooting outside Cairo, but the Ministry of Health said the officer was just injured. The rallies were called by the Salafi Front and are the first attempt in months at mass anti-government protests. But they were also billed as a movement against the so-called war on Islam that alienated other opposition groups, including some Islamist groups. The state has been largely intolerant of all forms of dissent since the ouster of Islamist President Mohamed Morsi last year. Leila Fadl, NPR News, Cairo.
In a shortened trading day on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up a fraction of a point at 17,828. The Nasdaq Composite up 4 points at 4791. The S&P 500 down 5 at 2067. This is NPR. Today is the official launch of the Salvation Army's Red Kettle Giving Campaign. As NPR's Pam Fessler reports, it marks the start of the busiest time of year for charitable fundraising by all nonprofits.
Shoppers will likely hear those sounds next to Red Kettle's stationed at more than 24,000 locations around the country. The Salvation Army says it hopes to raise $150 million with the Red Kettle campaign this year. Like most charities, it thinks donations will be up because the economy is improving. But Lieutenant Colonel Ron Busrow, head of development, says many families are still struggling.
I think most people understand that there's still a lot of folks out there who need help, and we're certainly seeing it in the number of people who are coming to the Salvation Army.
For food, shelter, and other services, Pam Fessler, NPR News.
The official start of the holiday shopping season is in full swing today across the U.S. as shoppers hunt for Black Friday savings. Terry Lundgren, the CEO of the Macy's department store chain, says even with the rise of holiday shopping on Thanksgiving, Black Friday is still a big factor in retail sales.
There's a lot of important days all the way between now and Christmas Day. In fact, the day after Christmas are all very, very important days. But it's very important to have an important, strong, and successful Black Friday because it's just too big of a business day to not perform well.
Some stores had lighter than usual customer traffic this morning as many diehard shoppers took advantage of deals Thanksgiving night. Again, at the close on Wall Street, the Dow was up a fraction of a point. The Nasdaq Composite was up 4. This is NPR News. Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Al Jazeera America. The 3-part documentary series, World War I Through Arab Eyes, debuts tonight at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on Al Jazeera America. Learn more at aljazeera.com.
Make the connection. Wherever you are, stay with NPR.
And WBUR, I'm Robin Young.
I'm Peter O'Dowd, in for Jeremy Hobson. It's Here and Now. In a minute, if you have no idea what to buy the tech junkie in your family, we've got you covered. Experts share their shopping list on this Black Friday.
In the 1950s, by the way, that name referred to factory workers calling in sick on this day. In the 80s, it was rebranded to sell stuff. It's the day stores start going into the black, heading into the holiday season, making money, and people start going crazy. Shoppers this morning at a Walmart in Houston fighting over TVs. Then there were the shoppers in London, which now has a Black Friday, tearing away at a display. All right, then. The protesters in Ferguson, Missouri are calling for a Black Friday boycott. Ferguson, Missouri, protesting the shooting death of Michael Brown. They soon moved into the store.
No justice! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Hands up! No shoot!
This is all part of a broader national movement with hashtags like Blackout Black Friday to demonstrate that African Americans have buying power. But meanwhile, in Colorado, Black Friday this year has a greenish hue. In fact, some marijuana retailers are calling it Green Friday. It's the first since recreational marijuana became legal in that state. Michael Regan of Bloomberg News joins us now from the Bloomberg Newsroom in New York. And Michael, tell us, what are these retailers doing?
One of the stores that got a lot of attention is a place called the Grass Station, and some of the deals include 16 ounces of marijuana for $50 each, which is a really huge discount. It's about 1/5 of their normal price. And they also have an offer, they're selling about 60 joints at $1 a piece. And there's another store called the Growing Kitchen. The Denver Post wrote about them. They have a $49.99 gift basket that has things like they call it the Mighty Mint cookie for the holidays, and also marijuana-infused ointment. They're billing it as people who have sore muscles from skiing over the holidays can rub some of this ointment on and get some relief. So some clever attempts to really, get people in on Black Friday like any other retailer, and, creating a buzz for the industry there.
Well, pun intended.
It's hard to talk about this without
I know. One of the store owners is quoted in your paper saying we have really high expectations.
Sure.
And, that's provoking a lot of smiles, but we're still reminded that children were picking up marijuana candy and cookies, and there was talk of how the packaging might be rewritten so that it's safer. You're talking about gift baskets. Where are we on that, making edibles in particular safer?
It is, a very delicate situation, and this is really the first, big holiday season where they are trying to do this. And obviously, they face a lot of restrictions on how they can market themselves. A lot of the traditional outdoor advertising and billboards, they're not allowed to do. And obviously, the media is very interested in this story, so there's been a lot of media coverage of it. But it'll be interesting to see this holiday if there are any incidents that cause a crackdown on the next holiday season, or if it goes off without a hitch. This is a big test for them for sure.
Well, and we understand
understand many retailers are concerned about that. Again, your paper quotes some as saying, look, we're not even getting involved because we have so many regulations to wade through, and it's not as if they can throw up billboards.
Right, that's right. Billboards are outlawed. Most type of mass marketing. Many of the stores tend to prefer a sort of low-key, low-profile approach.
In fact, we're reading that it's kind of hard to join a business association. Let's say you're on a block with a very staid business. They may not want the marijuana dispensary to be a part of their holiday business association event.
Right, it's a very delicate situation for these retailers. That said, they're doing their best they can to rely on the holidays as a big boost for their business, like any other retailer. And one of the sort of peak sales periods they're comparing themselves to was when the rock band Fish was in Denver not too long ago, and a lot of the sort of neo-hippie fans of that band really loaded up at some of the marijuana stores there. So far that's been their best weekend, and they're trying to recreate that here around the holidays with many of these promotions.
But just overall, we're seeing this the Marijuana Industry Group. That's a trade association. They represent 30 owners that have 200 store licenses, so they own multiple stores. Do we know how big the legalized pot industry is?
Yeah, there's a group called ArcView Group that has researched it, and they estimate it to be currently worth about $2.3 billion this year. They believe it may grow to more than $10 billion by 2018. And, as you know, other states are beginning to decriminalize or remove some of the penalties on marijuana, and obviously the medical marijuana industry is booming, so it is definitely considered a growth industry.
Michael Regan of Bloomberg News on what's being called Green Friday in Colorado. Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk, shall we, about more traditional holiday gifts that still have a way of confusing many of us, tech gadgets. Fortunately, reviewers at the tech news site Recode put together a guide. It covers tech gifts for boomers, college and high school students, parents with younger kids, and, of course, fitness freaks. Bonnie Chaw and Lauren Good are part of that Recode team. Bonnie, Lauren, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Peter.
And so I have to admit, I've been on the internet. I've been trying to figure this out. I feel totally overwhelmed. But luckily, you've already done a lot of the work at Recode. You've broken this up into categories. So, Lauren, let's start with those boomers. Kind of by default, I'm thinking smartphones and e-readers. Is that fair?
That's correct. Wall actually covered a wide range of products here. He did, of course, touch upon smartphones, and he said that the very best choice, in his opinion, is that the iPhone 6 or the iPhone 6 Plus is the best bang for your buck. But that is pretty expensive. If you're getting an unlocked device, it's going to cost $650 to $750. And then, yes, he did cover e-readers. He said the new Deluxe Voyage from Amazon has a nice high-resolution screen and a couple of other features. That'll cost you $199. But you can also get less expensive Kindles for as low as $79.
And Bonnie, what about phones that are cheaper than the iPhone?
Yeah, one good one is the Moto E, which is $129 without a contract, but it'll give you the basics. You've got a touch screen, the 5-megapixel camera on back. The things that are missing, it doesn't have a front-facing camera, and it's 3G only. And if you do want an iPhone, with the new releases, some of the prices dropped on the older models, so you can get the iPhone 5C for free on contract, and the 5S now, I believe, starts at $100 on contract.
Bonnie, what about college students, high school kids, for people who are glued to technology 24/7? What can we do there that will actually get a teenager excited about something new?
Teens and college students love taking selfies and using Snapchat, so one thing I thought would be fun is the all-equipped smartphone camera attachments, and they're basically add-on lenses that add different and fun perspectives to photos, such as fisheye, macro for extreme close-ups and wide angles, and they range from $50 to $130. The only caveat here is that they're only compatible with iPhones, the Samsung Galaxy S4 and S5, and iPad Mini and iPad Air. And then also for the kid that's been really, really good this year, I think, the game consoles are always an ultimate gift. I personally like the Sony PlayStation 4 a little bit better. But, of course, there's also the Xbox One and also Nintendo. So it might come down to game preference for whatever your kid likes.
Can we talk about these selfies for a second? The other day I was outside at this event in public, and I saw these college students with this long stick that they would attach to their smartphone, and it gave them this, distance or perspective that would allow allow them to take wide-angle selfies. Is this a thing now?
Yeah, I'm seeing more and more of that. Yeah, it just, it enables you to get a better angle and get more people in the photo. So, yeah, I think that's becoming a thing.
Okay, let's go to this fitness category. I love this one. Because, Lauren, you say in your piece that there are people out there who have run the turkey trot not once but twice before Thanksgiving dinner. And of course, I'm thinking here wearables is kind of the key word, right?
Wearables is a key category this holiday season. Starting at the low end, you're able to find $50 activity trackers out there that you can just sort of snap on and act as essentially a fancy pedometer, sending information to a smartphone app. One of those is the Misfit Flash. Then if you're willing to spend a little bit more money this holiday season, you can find something like the Garmin VivoFit wristband, which costs $80. And then Jawbone and Fitbit are also shipping 2 new wristbands in the coming weeks that will include heart rate sensors, which means that they can basically track heart rate from the wrist without you having to wear a chest strap. And then at the high end of the market, you have things like the Garmin Forerunner 920 XT, which costs $500 for the watch and a heart rate strap. But that's for a really serious, committed, multi-sport athlete, and they want to track all of their metrics.
Yeah, and we're seeing examples of earphones that you can go swimming with. I saw something about electronic workout pants. There's like this little gadget that fits into the fabric of your pants that measures your muscles. But I wonder with this fitness craze, it sounds great this time of year when we're setting all these goals, but what about 6 months from now when I've fallen off the wagon? Is there anything out there that's more flexible for me?
That's a really good question. In fact, PricewaterhouseCoopers put out a report a little while ago that said 33% of consumers they surveyed within a year were no longer using their activity trackers. So there are some apps out there that you can actually download that provide some metrics around your steps or your cycling or your running activities without having to necessarily buy a wristband. And then one of the solutions I mentioned in my guide too, which might be good for people that maybe can't get out there to the gym every day or they're stuck at home for whatever reason, you can buy some of these set-top TV boxes, streaming devices like a Roku or an Apple TV, and you can find a lot of really great fitness content online that you are able to do in the comfort of your own living room. And then if at some point you fall off the fitness wagon, then you still have access to all this really great content for when you're basically being a couch potato.
Yeah, let's go to Bonnie Shaw here. So, Bonnie, what's the sleeper out there, the one that is on nobody's radar that a year from now is going to be everywhere?
I don't know. I think the car stuff is pretty interesting. One thing that's available now are these apps that will also disable texting while you're driving, which might be good for kids. So, there's a lot of these interactive things, whether it's music services or GPS or, voice-enabled stuff that's pretty interesting.
And that's for anyone who's getting their loved one a brand new car for Christmas.
Yeah. Wouldn't be lucky to do that, yeah.
All right. Bonnie Shaw and Lauren Good, senior reviewers for the tech news site Recode. Thanks for your recommendations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
All those Recode shopping guides at hereandnow.org. And I'm willing to bet, no, I'm willing to guarantee someone out there thinks we missed something, so let us know. It's Here and Now.
Now comes from Geico, protecting drivers and their families with insurance coverage for over 75 years. More at geico.com or 1-800-947-AUTO.
On Fresh Air, you'll hear revelations from well-known actors, like Zach Galifianakis on the story behind his last name.
It's actually shortened, Terry. My real last name is Galifianakisberg. That's an exclusive for your show.
Fresh Air, bringing you some of the biggest names in American culture and some of the most difficult to pronounce. Join us.
NPR keeps you engaged. Stay with NPR wherever you are.
tragic death of 25-year-old Australian cricket star Philip Hughes is drawing people's attention here in the U.S. and around the world. Hughes died yesterday, 2 days after he was struck on the top of the neck by a ball during a match in Sydney. The BBC's Nick Marshall-McCormick joins us from Salford, near Manchester, England. And Nick, you're originally from Australia. Tell us how people there are reacting.
It's really emotional across Australia. If I could sum up the feeling with one word, I suppose it's numb, because one of the youngest superstars of cricket, the national game, has just been stolen away from them so brutally, so suddenly. He wasn't anywhere near his prime, only 25.
Yeah, and cricket, the second most popular sport in the world after soccer for Americans, though, it's a bit of a foreign sport to us. Can you explain exactly how this happened?
Yeah, sure. It was a freak accident. The bowler, Sean Abbott, who no one blames, by the way, guess you can call him a pitcher in baseball, sends the ball down the wicket, and the ball that he bowled was called a bouncer, which is a short pitch delivery. It swung up quite violently, hit Phil Hughes in the neck, which hasn't really ever done such devastating damage like this before.
And these bouncers sometimes reach speeds of up to 90 miles per hour. And how common are injuries in cricket in general? Is it a dangerous sport?
I think you get the bruises, you get the broken noses. It's not as brutal as American football or rugby union or rugby league. I don't think that you can call it a sport that is brutal, put it that way.
Now, in this country, in the United States, there's lots of conversations about safety in sports, professional football, hockey, that sort of thing. Are there similar conversations in the cricket world?
Yeah, yes and no. It's a debate of safety versus comfort. The back of the helmet is the issue here, because here's a neck area where the helmet didn't extend down to. Now, the issue for players is if you extend that helmet, you take away the player's ability to play certain shots, duck and weave. But the debate will rage on, and there will be an investigation by Australian Cricket into this to make sure that they have the best safety for players. The rest of the body is fully protected. Players wear knee pads, shin pads, thigh pads. It's a fast sport for Americans who think that it's a genteel sport that English people play sipping tea. It's not. It's far from that.
Obviously, a very difficult time for cricket fans around the world. The BBC's Nick Marshall-McCormick on the death of Australian cricket star Philip Hughes. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
To e-cigarettes now. A new study commissioned by Japan's health ministry says e-cigarettes contain more cancer-causing agents than regular cigarettes, and that one of the 10 samples tested had 10 times the levels. E-cigs, or electronic nicotine delivery systems, work by heating up flavored liquids, which usually have nicotine, producing a vapor. They've been on a roll. The Oxford Dictionary just named vape the word of the year 2014. The worldwide market is about $2 to $3 billion in sales. A recent study from Belgian researchers showed they do help people smoke less or quit without the cancerous effects of a tobacco cigarette. Then comes this new study from Japan. Let's bring back the former director of cancer science and trends at the American Cancer Society, Dr. Thomas Glynn. He's now a professor at Stanford University School of Medicine. Dr. Glynn, Tom, we've talked before. What does this study say to you?
What this study does is it adds yet another piece to the very complex e-cigarette puzzle, and it's more confirmatory than it is groundbreaking. This is a good team in Japan that did this study, but we do know that when the e-cigarette liquid is heated, some carcinogens, things that cause cancer, are created. The question is how much and how many. As you pointed out, one of the main things in this is that the headlines have primarily been e-cigarettes contain 10 times more formaldehyde, and the fact is it was 1 out of 10 samples. I think also importantly, in the U.S. now we have more than 450 different kinds of e-cigarettes available, and that also makes this complex.
Well, and for those who haven't heard us speak about this before, you're one of the people that isn't sure how you feel about e-cigs, even though you were once with the American Cancer Society, and the idea of getting people to stop smoking is very appealing. You were among those worried that we don't know what else e-cigs might be doing.
Yeah, I was and I remain concerned about the issue in that we need to have a laser focus in the U.S. and globally on getting people to stop smoking regular combusted this can perhaps worry people into not using e-cigarettes at all. And I think that would be unfortunate because people do need to consider, and I emphasize consider, e-cigarettes as one way that might help them stop smoking the combusted cigarettes.
Well, we've also talked in the past about the fact that even though anecdotally e-cigs seem to be getting some adults to quit smoking, teens who have been taking up vaping are then going to smoking, so there's that concern. But it seems like the question, bottom line is, might e-cigs cause as much cancer as cigarettes? And boy, this study, I'm imagining it's going to lead to others to answer that question. Why get somebody off a tobacco cigarette if an e-cig is going to have as many carcinogens?
It's an excellent question, and it's one of the reasons we have good scientists out there working on this. And I know that sounds like it's a cop-out, but e-cigarettes have only been available in the U.S. for about 7 years. They were only invented about a decade ago. So we are still in the infancy of research on them. And again, with all the different kinds of e-cigarettes available, we're going to see a wide range of materials that are in them, some relatively harmless, and some, as in the Japanese study, quite harmful.
Yeah, formaldehyde. Well, isn't the answer there regulation, so that you get to know what's in the product?
And that's the key issue right now is in the U.S. When a consumer goes into the store right now and to purchase an e-cigarette, they're basically buying a lottery ticket. They don't know exactly what it is they're buying. They could be buying one of the ones in the Japanese study that has 10 times the amount of formaldehyde in a normal cigarette. They could be buying a product that might help them get off cigarettes forever and not be that harmful.
Well, and last spring the FDA announced a proposal to call e-cigs a tobacco product, meaning they could treat them the same way they do traditional cigarettes. And so perhaps that regulation and that instruction will come at that time?
We're hoping that. I don't envy the FDA, but we do need those regulations in order to help people make the right decisions.
That's Thomas Glune, professor at Stanford University School of Medicine and the former director of Cancer Science and Trends at the American Cancer Society. Tom, thanks so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
And we'll link you to our past e-cig stories, including one about how toddlers and kids are getting a hold of and drinking these sweetly flavored e-cig nicotine vials. They're getting nicotine poisoning. It can also be absorbed through their skin. So if you want to see that story, it's at hereandnow.org. You're listening to Here and Now.
Funding for Here and Now comes from Gentle Giant Moving Company, orchestrating moves around the block or around the globe for 34